Well, at least it says we're live. I don't know how accurate that is. So let me make sure we have the stream on this. All right, it says we're live. So good news. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first official episode of Broken Controllers. It's actually the third one we've done, but we're taking it a little bit more seriously. Going to be doing this every week. I have my co-host here, Irish1620. What's up, man?
How's it going? How's it going? What's up, everybody?
And I got the stream up here on my end, so that's good news. Shout out to chat. Anybody in chat, tweet the stream out, share it, whatever you got to do. So like I said, this is the first official episode of Broken Controllers. We'll just jump right into it. What are you playing here, Irish?
Currently I'm over here playing some Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls.
Oh, nice. I've never played that game.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's pretty fun. I'm currently trying to build up a new character, new-ish.
New-ish.
It is. Yeah, it's currently at level 56. Sorry about that, had a controller die. Currently at level 56 and working towards trying to max it at level 70 and grind again on the Paragons. I'm currently at 809 on the Paragon.
Oh, wow.
And upon discovering there's actually no cap on the Paragon, it just keeps going. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm pretty low.
So
come to find out.
The Paragons, we talked about it a little bit before the show, but the Paragons are prestige, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
that is correct.
So with these Paragons, that's right, Paragons. With these Paragons, what's like the requirement to level up on these? Like I've never played a Diablo game, so I'm kind of confused on exactly how to level up your Paragons. Do you just got to max out your character? Or?
Yeah, a single character or play on a character that's already maxed out. So if you're playing on a new character that's not at level 70, you're only going to be building the levels of that character and not working towards any actual Paragon, because Paragon is end game. So you have to have at least beat the game with that character to be able to start working on that. And usually by the time you beat in the game, you're at max level.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So basically, in conjunction with being max level, you also have to complete the game with that character, and then you can actually increase your Paragon level?
Yeah, and from what I've come to understand through reading around at various sources, Reddit and otherwise, as you increase in your Paragon, the actual experience requirement for each Paragon increases. Oh, goodness. Them babies. It's about dinner time. Y'all need to play nice with the toys there, kiddos. Share the blocks now. Don't fight over the blocks. Love the blocks. Oh. But, yeah, pretty much, so as you're early in the Paragons, you're going to be looking at only requiring pretty much the same amount of experience that took you to get to that max level the first time, maybe a little bit more. But once you start looking at 10,000 plus Paragon, you're looking at probably, I'd say, guesstimating 4 to 5 times your, 0 to 70 XP requirement.
Right. Well, it sounds like I kind of got some gameplay going up on YouTube right now, and it looks like what's that game? I guess Divinity: Original Sin would look more like it, but that's the vibe I get from this kind of game. It's just kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's in that game. All right, cool. Well, anything else?
I've been really digging on that, what is it, the Ace Combat 7? I don't know if you've gotten a chance to check that one out, but I love Taking to the Skies, my brother.
Oh man, they have a PSVR version for that. Do you have a PSVR?
Oh man, I wish. I wish.
Oh man, I
I,
got
I honestly, I've been tempted to get it just for Ace Combat.
I've heard it's so good. I mean, and motion sickness is probably a real
Oh,
thing with that game.
dude, I mean, honestly, with some of the earlier VR games, like some of the zombie VR games and such, I honestly had some trouble with that myself.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
play for like maybe, you know, 15, 20 minutes, if that.
Dude,
And
I got
I'm over there ripping the headset off, like feeling woozy about to puke all over myself.
yeah. I played uh, I played oh gosh, what was the name of that game? Until Dawn, Rush of Blood. So it's like an on-rail shooter, and like I'm going through this game, and I get through the first mission. It's pretty scary, and then I get to the second mission, and it opens up with this little girl singing. What's the name of that? Farrah Chakra, that song, and then she like the lights will flash, and then she moves to a spot, and then she moves to another spot, and then she's in your face. So like I ripped the headset off. I was like, nope, I'm good with that.
Oh man.
um, but no, I mean Ace Combat. I've heard good things.
Oh, dude, it's bloody amazing, and I actually finally got to the end of the was it the fighter line and got the X something X45 some shit like that. It's
Is
pretty
that
much
a new
like
jet?
yeah, it's an experimental, obviously with the X, but it's like it's got a V-shaped, a forward-facing V-shaped wing pattern that
Yeah.
folds forward and back depending on your speed. So like if you're going slower speeds, it flips the wings more forward facing. If you're going at higher speeds, it pulls them back and lets you easily ease into Mach speeds.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So it's
dude,
like
and
it's more.
maneuverability, it's definitely it handles probably I'd say 3 to 4 times better than that of the F-35 and F-22 both.
That's sick, dude. That they put additional jets in like the game. Like I've played a lot of Ace Combats in the past. I've never seen them do that. I don't think.
They have, but nothing quite like this. Like in the past ones, like their experimentals that they had at that time were like not really experimentals. It was the F-22s and the F-35s. That was like the end of the line, but that was also really the end of the line of what we had at that point in time when those were out.
Yeah.
At least to the general public. But
Well, I
this
mean,
new jet that they're proposing, if that's gonna be a thing, dude, it looks sick. I would love to fly one in real life,
yeah.
if only. But
Man, I mean,
all me aside, what are you up to? What are you playing?
so, um, I've been playing a lot of Persona. Sorry, I was looking at this video. I've been playing a lot of Persona here on this end. I love that game. It's very anime. I mean, if you're not in anime, you're probably not gonna like it. Um, but I mean,
Oh, dude, yeah.
there was a couple people. Michelle Madison actually from Video Game Outsiders was actually playing Persona, and she kind of liked it. And she's not an anime person at all. So I mean, it can definitely draw you in if you like JRPGs. Just those turn-based style, old 98 type RPGs. So
Yeah, like some old Final Fantasy.
yeah, exactly. Yep, that's actually exactly right. Yep. Um, so I've been playing a lot
Gotta
of
love the
that.
classics.
Actually, I'll get some gameplay up here on this end. But I've been playing a lot of Persona. Um, Persona's really good. There's a few problems. I mean, every game has a few problems. You can't really get around that. There's a few problems with it that I just they're hard to get past. So like for instance, like the translation for the story stuff. So like one of the Morgana, who's one of the characters in the game, he tells you the translation that it translates into America or into English as we can't rest until we do X. I don't want to give it away. But we can't rest until we do this thing. And then, like, 2 seconds later, when you try to walk out of the room, Morgana's response is, wait, don't you want to sleep? Well, you just said I couldn't rest until I got this done. So, like, that was just an example of mistranslation, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of examples of that. That was just one that I could think of right off the top of my head.
And another prime example of that is if you look back at like all the old Dragon Ball Zs or really any animes, when you go and you look at the dub versus sub, subs are usually gonna end up reading different than the dubbed version 9 times out of 10. And honestly, I found that they get pretty dirty and nasty.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they try and dumb it down with the dubs a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was watching excuse me. 1 second, sorry. You know, technical issues and all that. I was watching
You have.
what was it here? Okay. I was actually listening to a podcast and they were explaining, in the dubbed versions, they actually dumb it down a lot for the English audience. So like, it's gonna seem really silly, but like Yu-Gi-Oh, for instance, is a good example. Like, they dumbed Yu-Gi-Oh down. Because it was it was a little more like geared toward teenagers in Japan, whereas over here it's geared toward children, and that's kind of the main problem you run in with anime in the Americas is that you get that stigma that cartoons are for children or whatever. When in all actuality it's geared more toward young adults, that kind of thing. But and I don't know if mistranslation is accurate as much as it is blatant, like, changing the sentence around, you know what I mean? For the English audience being more geared toward children for that kind of stuff. So, I mean, anime is cool, I guess, like, if that's your thing, but, like, this game takes it to a whole new level, and you like if you're gonna play it, you got to expect like it's gonna be corny. You're gonna get that anime humor. You're gonna get that, that kind of like never give up attitude, that never lose hope attitude. That's all in this game. So, I mean, it's anime. You know what to expect. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't, kind of thing. So you kind of know if you like it or if you don't.
I love me some anime.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get me started. I love Naruto, Dragon Ball, Hunter x Hunter. I mean, I watch a lot of anime.
Hey, I'll throw you out a classic you got to check out some point.
There we go. I'm down with that.
Escaflowne.
Escaflowne?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's a classic. If you've never seen it, and you like anime, you have to see it.
Oh man,
it's a little bit more of an emotional thing, but it's also very brutal, very graphic, very. I don't know. It's good.
See, and that's why I say like animes are geared more toward young adults. Like in Japan, if they would never bring that over to the English audience, like they would never bring that over to America. Like in a mainstream way, because it's just too brutal for a cartoon. You know what I mean? So
agreed.
So, but that's that. I mean, That's just kind of that stigma. But the other thing that I've been playing, now kind of another anime game, kind of stick with the theme. I played Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, love it.
The hack
Love it,
game.
love it.
Yes, okay, so you played it? Okay,
Oh, yeah.
I want you to jump in on this. That game is incredible. It looks good. The music is great. The mechanics are great. Personally, like, I love Kingdom Hearts. I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. I played all the games. Did you play the other games?
Oh, yeah. I've played every single one.
Oh, so you know the story.
And
Awesome.
the remixes. Like, yeah, I've played it all.
Well, I laugh because a lot of people are like...
I've even played the mobile.
Oh, you played Union Cross?
Yep.
Yeah, Union Cross is so good, dude. I actually really liked it. That was a really good mobile Kingdom Hearts deal.
I honestly probably would have ended up playing more of it when it first came out if I had a better device to play it on.
Yeah.
Kind of side off on it because the device I had at the time I think was S5.
Oh, wow, that is going back.
yeah, it didn't run the best. Lowest graphics and it was just choking out left and right. So
yeah.
That was a sad day and it gave up.
Sad day. But yeah, that's kind of I was kind of playing that, and I love these games personally. You know, it's definitely one of those what's the word? It's one of those
Nostalgic?
No, it's like it's not predictable. You know what I mean? Like I thought for sure like I had this story figured out in the beginning. Like it is very anime, I'll say that. There is that never give up attitude, that never lose hope, you know, and you pretty much ends the same way every other anime ends. With the exception of a couple details, you know, I don't want to give anything away, no spoilers. But what I will say about it is the way that they progressed the story, they made it seem like there was no hope for a couple characters. And for me, like that's what I actually honestly liked about Naruto is they hammered home that hopeless feeling really good right before, you know, the protagonist takes off and wins the fight, whatever. So that's what I really like about Naruto. They hammer home that feeling. Well, in this, in Kingdom Hearts, they do a really good job of hammering home that feeling, and then also they do a really good job of like giving you those moments, you know, like
moments of victory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like triumph. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's a good example. So I was kind of playing that too. I guess we'll get to the main event. I've been playing a lot of Division 2.
I wish.
I love that game.
I have not had the opportunity yet.
Oh man, it is really good. It looks amazing. The guns feel great. The sounds hit home. Like they, in my opinion, like they did this game probably the best that they could possibly do it without turning it into something that it wasn't. You know, because the Division 2 has a very specific gameplay type, you know, and it's a looter shooter, but it's also third person. It's also got dodge capabilities, you know, your dodge rolls, your cover systems, you know, your blind firing systems, stuff like that. So all that, I mean, it just blends together, makes for a really good experience, and just playing. I mean, being able to just sit back and play a game where you're like completely enticed, you know, you're enthralled in this world. It brings you in, it sucks you in, and like that's where you stay, you know, for the entire while you're playing the game. And that's something that I've actually really grown to enjoy about this game is the fact that they're taking the steps that they need to modernize excuse me. They're taking the steps that they need to modernize, a really good, what was already a really good loot shooter, and now they're taking it and just making it that much better. Every game's got its problems. The Division 2 is really, really good. The main problem I have with it is the difficulty level. The difficulty level is insane. I'm on normal and I'm dying. Say probably every 2 to 3 areas, I'll die, and I'm so long in the game. Like, don't get me wrong, it's doable. It's just if you're gonna do it alone, you're just gonna be banging your head against the wall for the better part of an hour. So I mean, it's doable.
It sounds like me on Destiny.
See, and I'm actually all right at Destiny. I'm much better at Destiny than I am at this, and I thought that would maybe carry over into this game. No, you just get shot. That's how you do it. So, but this game,
honestly, like it sounds like it's got a really good level of realism, and that's one thing I loved about all of the Battlefield series, is that next level realism that Call of Duty lacked.
Yeah, yep, and that's exactly right too. Like Call of Duty made that a thing, and the realism in this game is like I said, the guns feel incredible, and when I say they feel incredible, I don't mean like, oh, the shooting feels really good when you're getting a headshot, like no, the guns feel good like all the time, like, you know what I mean, and when I say they feel good, like they feel realistic, like one of the guns you can get in this game is an AK-47. As far as realisticity
goes, that real
like
choppy, that real choppy recoil.
Yeah, exactly. And so like, and they emulate that really well in this game. They do that really well in this game. So that's something that.
Curious question: how's the bullet drop on that? Is it similar to that of like Battlefield 4 and whatnot?
Not really as much. I mean, the bullet drop is a bit of a thing. I think I haven't had a whole lot of snipers, but I have been messing with carbines. And though I mean they're nice, but from way far out, it's hard to get a headshot because the bullet drop is a thing. But I know in Battlefield 4, when you get that bullet drop, the further you go, the faster that bullet drops. Whereas in this, the bullet drops at the same rate regardless of how far the shot is. So
okay, so they don't have the velocity factor.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Gravity to velocity factor, rather.
Right. So that's kind of that was kind of my one disappointment with the game. My other big complaint with it is that, like in the first division, the world felt very alive. They did a very good job of like including these audio recordings, making sure that if you found, what are they called? Data logs. If you found a data log, like they did a really good job of playing those videos out. So that was always something, that, I mean, that was always something in the Division 1 that was really strong. It was a really strong point of gameplay. Whereas in this, the gameplay, I mean, they still put the data logs in there. They still put the cell phones in there. They still put the recordings in there. But they're harder to come across. They're harder to find, and the world is bigger. So it doesn't feel like there's quite as much as there was in the first one. So that's kind of the big bummer. But I mean, other than that, the game's great. I mean, they're killing it over there. So that's great.
I mean, Tom Clancy has always been pretty solid from books to games.
Yeah. Tom Clancy, I mean, Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon, all those great games.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever read any of the Tom Clancy books, but oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've heard good things about them too.
I mean, if you want a book that's hard to follow, pick up a Tom Clancy, man. That shit,
Yeah.
it jumps you all over in timelines, locations. It's like
That's just
trying to keep
wild, huh?
everything. Yeah, trying to keep everything straight in your mind is just really hard. Like you have to be just keeping that all in your mind at all
Yeah,
times.
and
Otherwise, you come back to it, you're like, who was where? Where am I? What's
what?
happening?
Like God of War combos.
Straight up.
Did you play that game at all?
God of War?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, every one of them.
man. Oh, so you did
I
play the new one
I
too?
haven't. Yeah, I haven't been able to play all the way through on the new one yet, but I have. I want to say made it through the first couple areas, few areas.
It's
So
tough and
still like just scratching the surface on that
yeah,
one.
it's a
But
long
every
game.
other one I've played all the way through.
Yeah, so but anyway, that'll kind of cover what we're playing. I kind of wanted to go into news now. Um, I, I really just want to touch on the big one, and that's Stadia. Um, you know,
Yeah.
everybody's heard it all over. Now they get our take on it. Um, now, Stadia, if you haven't been following it, for those who are listening, Stadia is it's a streaming service being released by Google. It's not a console. A lot of people are like, oh, Google released. No, it's not a console. It's not what. Um, but it does offer some pretty interesting facets of gaming, like as far as like what they're offering. Did you do any research on Stadia?
Um. Yes and no. I've done very kind of scratching the surface here.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of where I was at. I just kind of wanted to get a basic rundown of what Stadia does and why it's a big deal. I'll kind of go through these points and then we can kind of touch on them individually and just kind of get each other's take on it. The one I want to start with is pick up and play, the play now ability. So basically, Google was saying that these games are going to be links. There's going to be nothing to download. There's going to be no wait time to play them. It's going to be click on the link, within 5 minutes you have your game in front of you and you're playing. I don't know. I don't know if they can make that happen.
Yeah,
Especially.
I mean, I'm seeing the claims. They're claiming being able to do this at 4K res with 60 FPS.
Yeah, that was actually one of the things that I put on here. From my notes, I put allegedly 4K 60 FPS because I don't. If they're able,
That's a pretty sturdy claim.
that's a yeah, that's a
I
pretty burly. That's a pretty burly statement. That's a brave statement. If you guys can get to 40 or 4K 60 FPS, you're doing all right. So
for real. Like,
sorry about the adjustment there. You're doing all right. If there's a company that can make it happen, I would say it's definitely Google.
oh yeah.
But on that same hand, I don't think Google really knows what they're getting themselves into with that statement. People are going to expect now 4K 60 FPS. Now, Google came out and said, look, this isn't going to be a launch thing. We're not going to be able to launch this at 4K 60 FPS because the technology is just not there. We need to be able to enhance the gaming experience, and that's why this is a streaming quotes platform. And
It sounds like it's very similar to what's been recently offered. What is it? The Shadow Gaming, which it's pretty much a stream service, virtual stream service where you're getting access to a virtual PC that has, GTX 1080 or better. Pretty much all the required things to play any current game at the highest setting.
Oh, so people have done this. This isn't just like a Google thing.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. But even they aren't able to do 4K at 60 FPS yet. They're maxing out at a 1080. I'm pretty sure. And even that is kind of you're dealing with buffering. I'm sure, unless you're looking at 100+ meg connection.
Yeah, good FiOS type fiber optic service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's the other thing though. Even if they are able to get it to 4K 60 FPS, what about internet caps? And like
Yeah.
one of the releases they put out said, you're gonna be expected to download at 25 MBS and uploads of 12 MBS. So basically they're saying, you need a pretty solid connection, which is fine, but 25 megabits per second for some people out there is, you're just going to be chewing through that data, so they need to figure out a way to get past that, so that when they decide, okay, we're able to do this 4K 60 FPS thing, people are actually still interested. That way they're not chewing, due to the fact that they're not chewing up through their data. And for me, I don't have an internet cap, so I'm not really worried about it. But I do know main concern for most of the people out there is the internet cap thing. So that's kind of a bummer.
And as far as the upload goes, you were saying 12 megs on the upload?
I believe so. I'll have to double check that. I believe it was 12 megs for the upload speed, which is actually pretty. That's a pretty solid upload speed. You got to have pretty decent internet for that.
Considering right now I'm looking at through Charter 100 meg connection with, I want to say 10 or so on the up.
Oh really? Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
See, I was pulling.
I'm not even there.
I was pulling 15 on my upload speeds with like an 85 megabit per second, but
and you got to figure I'm currently only paying for 60 meg connection. That's what I was contracted in at, was for. So I'm grandfathered in at a 60 meg connection, but in my area, the connection's uncapped.
Oh, okay, I see. So the actual modem itself for the connection is like, you don't have a speed cap on it.
Yeah, but I'm only paying for 60, so I think where they're essentially capping me maybe is on my upload.
Oh, okay, that makes
or
sense.
maybe just the equipment I have isn't rated for that high of an upload. I'm not 100%, but I mean, that would probably be my best bet, is that the equipment I currently have is only rated for 60 at 10, and I would have to go and get, if I wanted that, I'd have to get an actual 100 meg dedicated thing with higher upload rating.
Right. So this was from Gearbrain. It was a article published by Alistair Charlton, and in this article is explaining what you'd need in order to get 4K content to work, and as well as 1080p 60 FPS. So this is, quote, "Some people don't have the connection that fast, and Google knows it. As such, the company says Stadia will also work at 1080p full HD resolution, which should require a connection closer to 20 megabits per second. Also, the benefit of slower connections will be that Stadia will be a system where Stadia automatically adjusts its quality to compensate for the dips in broadband speed, just as Netflix does. So it's going to adjust its quality based off of what your broadband speed is doing, which, I mean, in a perfect world, you want to be able to maintain those graphics and the gameplay without input lag and all that. But I mean, this technology is going to be brand new right out of the gate, and Project Stream, that beta they introduced last year, really helped them make some headway on this. But the technology is going to need to progress in order for us to take full advantage of this, and that's kind of what I'm.
Well, I mean, Exactly. And, going off of that, I'm also seeing here that they're talking end game results, or at least in the current near future, 8K res at 120 FPS.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's their ultimate goal, at least in the near future. I'm sure we're gonna end up releasing technology that goes beyond 8K.
Right, and TVs will
But
always progress, in resolutions and
exactly.
all that. So that's
I
definitely
mean, based on what we're currently looking at, they're aiming for 8K at 120 FPS. Now that's wow.
that's if you're able to get that, you take my money.
Right? I mean, you're talking. Look at the money you'll be saving, versus the hardware. You're going to be paying a fraction of a price monthly for this service, or yearly, annually for this service, comparatively to what you'd be paying out of pocket for all the hardware to achieve that same goal.
Right. And that's kind of the big selling point for some of these companies, or for some people, is that the hardware and software, like the amount of money that you're going to have to pay in conjunction with the amount of the software you're getting for your money. Um, there's not a $1,100 price tag on this thing. There's not a $600 price tag on this thing. But really, we don't know a whole lot. But there's probably not even a $300 price tag on this thing. From what I understand, it's just a piece of equipment that you plug into your TV and you're good to go. Or streaming from a PC or a console or something like that. Whatever.
Yeah. The only real big downsides I'm seeing to this, if you have any kind of internet downage, power outage, things of that nature, loss of internet connectivity whatsoever, you're going to lose out on all this. So you maybe it comes down to renting versus buying, a home. Do you want to keep paying out of pocket every month to be staying in a home that isn't yours, or do you want to be paying out of pocket every month for something that is yours? Right. Just the only difference in something like this is do you want to pay everything all at once up front and get something that's just all yours all the time. You never have to worry about losing access to it. It's there. Or do you want to pay monthly and have something that could not be, depending on if they have any server downage, whatever.
Right, and that was kind of my main concern with the whole situation was, okay, you guys are offering this great service, but what happens if I lose my subscription? So if I lose my subscription, are my saves gone? Are my games? I mean, I know I'm going to lose access to the games. I mean, there's no doubt there. But what about my save files? What about the archived games that I have? What about, my cloud accessibility? Am I going to be able to transfer save files from one account to another, kind of thing? You know what I mean? And that's those are my big concerns as far as that goes.
Well, and then you also have to figure errors. It is, if in the event that your server crashes, is all my data going to be lost? Is it recoverable?
Yeah. That's a good point. I never even thought about that.
Is my data going to be protected? All of my personal data, it's going to be held within your servers. Is this all protected? These are definite, heavy concerns. And coming from, IT perspective, I'm over here finishing up my bachelor, about to start my master's in information systems. And, security, that's number one thing to jam in your head. And this does throw up a lot of questions of security.
Especially breaches, all your information is held in the cloud. So what happens if Google gets hacked? Like
everybody that's been, everybody's been getting hit.
Exactly. And you can't say
these hackers are, proving that there's definite flaws in systems because people are taking shortcuts to make shit just get out and be done.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt. And like that's kind of the big thing. Like, you know, you can't say like, you know, Google. Oh, Google's, you know, Google's Microsoft. You know, they're not going to let themselves get hacked. Okay, but you're also talking about servers that were built for Amazon, or hospitals, or credit bureaus, or anything like that. You know, as a guy who deals with money pretty regularly, I can tell you that identity theft is a huge deal in America, especially with the internet that we have, you know, and the abilities that people have, to actually get into these systems and find the flaws and the back doors and actually sneak in there and basically take whatever they want. So that is a serious issue. So I wanted to kind of move on to no middleman, which means no latency. That's what I have here. So when you stream a game, it goes, and I know you know, I'm just saying for the listeners, but when you stream a game, it goes from the server to the console, then the console plays the game. And then that's how you get your game through Game Pass or EA Access. No middleman, no latency basically means that there will be no. You will have the app on a, for example, PC. You may have the app available on the PC, but you're not going to necessarily use that app to play the games. Oh man, they're mad. Oh, poor guy. No. But anyway, so like the fact that there's no latency in there is a huge selling point for me personally. When I think of latency, I think of like, you know, Game Pass. You know, when I think of latency, I think of like the big one that comes to mind is EA Access, because EA Access is by no means perfect, right? So if you have EA Access, you can expect the latency. You're not going to be able to play games like Battlefront or Battlefield even, you know, because the latency is just, for multiplayer, it's not there. They're saying there's going to be no latency, and that means for the controller as well, so there's going to be no input latency as well. What's that?
I've been around with PlayStation now, and like I'm over it.
Yeah. That's what I've heard. I've heard PlayStation Now is not that great.
Yeah, no,
it's kind of disappointing.
Really low quality. Looks like hell. Just extreme button latency, controller latency in general.
Oh man, that's a huge bummer.
Yeah, it's rancid, and then the fact that it doesn't have the look even close to, you know, what the actual game looks like if you were to have a digital or physical copy.
Yeah,
it's just very grainy, and it's just constantly in and out. You know, you start having any kind of heavy movement, it will get grainy, or more so grainy, depending on what it's looking like at that moment.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Yeah, that's kind of. I mean, that's my biggest kind of bummer. Is just like with those streaming services, like Game Pass has it right. You know, you download the game and then that's how you play it. That's why you don't get any latency in Game Pass. You know, latencies. If you're gonna tell me there's no latency, there better not be any latency. Like, because, you know, that's a huge selling point for a lot of people. We just talked about that. You know, if there's no latency, there better be no latency. Otherwise, the internet's gonna get real mad.
Yeah, Reddit will tear you apart real quick.
Tear you apart. The next feature I wanted to kind of touch on, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion on this because you're a PlayStation guy, and I'm a Microsoft guy. So this says you can use any controller for Stadia from a PC. That's what I have for my notes. So they're saying like I can use my Elite controller. Now they were a little shaky on the details. Like first they said any controller period you're going to be able to use it, and then they said, oh no, it's any controller on a PC you're going to be able to use it, and then they said, okay, we actually lied. It's any USB wired controller to your PC. You can use that controller. And it's like, okay, well, which part? Which is it? You know what I mean? So I've gotten 3 different answers. I consulted 3 different sources here, and I got 3 different answers. The short of it is, we really don't know what the controller support's going to be like for something like that. So I really can't say one way or the other, you know, if I'm going to use my Elite controller. But what I can say is if you don't at least offer a controller with the service, like, hey, thanks for signing up for our streaming service, we're sending your controller now. People are going to get mad. Really mad. And if you're going to say, okay, you can use your controller, first off, it has to be wired to my PC. Second off, does it have to have an internet connection? Because the Stadia controller has to have an internet connection. That's how the latency, there's no input lag. If I have to sacrifice the internet connection and now I'm getting input lag because I'm using my Elite controller, that's a huge hit on the system. And I'm sure Google came out with a way around that, but for me personally, it's kind of a no-go, you know?
Yeah, I can fully agree. That's just
you're using the PlayStation controller, right? That's what you play.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, so see, I've never like used a PlayStation controller for like a Steam game, namely just because I didn't feel like messing with it and getting the settings right to work. But if you're telling me all I got to do is plug in a PlayStation controller or an Elite controller, and there's still going to be no latency, no input lag, I'm good with that. I'll take that. You know, I just
I just don't see him being able to meet that without having that wireless capability, the connection to the internet to link on its own separate.
Right,
connection.
Exactly. And that's
and even then you're going to be looking at having to likely do port forwarding. So if you have people that aren't network savvy, don't know how to port forward, they're still going to be experiencing latency, you know, unless they go through their network and port forward those IPs and ports that need to be ported.
No doubt, yep. And not to be negative, but a lot of people don't take the and I don't know if Google, I mean, I don't work for Google, I don't know. But a lot of people don't take those extra steps to make sure that their systems are working the way that, you know, one would hope, especially if you're getting ready to release it to the masses. So,
you know, I'd say, you know, like with how I have everything set up here, you know, I make sure for my PC OBS, I have ports forwarded through my router to ensure that things are passing through smoothly. You know, there's no hangups or packet loss, what have you.
No doubt. And all that stuff is super important. A lot of people don't think that it is, but it really is.
And it's sad but true, I found is that like a butt?
It is.
Oh.
It's a butt with a tattoo on it.
But sad but true, a lot of the lower end, cheaper model routers really actually limit you on how many ports you can forward.
Yeah, I didn't even actually.
I found some that like you can only forward like 10 things, and then it's just like, nah, if you want to forward anything else, you got to choose something to get rid of.
I wonder if they're gonna actually build some sort of server around there, or some sort of hardware that allows them to facilitate that. I mean,
I guess if you were to say, you would have to virtualize, of course. They would have to have some sort of a thing that creates like maybe a virtual Ethernet that that controller connects to. So like your wired controller connects to this virtual Ethernet adapter that's then going boom out through.
Exported to the server. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes
I mean,
sense.
that could be a workaround that they could do, but I don't know. I mean, and like, because to counteract the latency there, you've got to, I don't know, man. You have to almost have predictive,
button
measures. Predictive measures on the other end, like to truly get rid of latency.
Right. And then even then you're gonna have problems because what if it predicts wrong, So
Yeah. This is why quantum technology just needs to hurry up and get here.
and get here. Agreed. Quantum computing, yeah, no doubt, dude. I actually did a segment on that on GameSpot. So
I'm so sick of devices, and having to wait on them instead of them waiting on us.
Exactly, man. That's the main problem that I have with the whole situation. Like, I'm constantly waiting on, less latency or, better equipment or better hardware, better software, whatever the case is, we're constantly waiting on that stuff. So that's kind of my...
All that aside, though, I must say, as far as controllers go, that Stadia controller is pretty slick looking.
Yeah, it looks nifty, no doubt.
And it looks comfortable in the hand.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's
yeah, it doesn't look quite as big as like a Xbox. I mean, because that's honestly my biggest thing with Xbox is that controller size. It just doesn't fit too well in my hand. I like the Sony controller, the way it fits, but that Stadia, it looks like a happy medium between the two worlds.
Right, and that's kind of where I'm at.
It's that Goldilocks controller, man.
Yeah, that Goldilocks controller. Two more things here. I mean, there was a lot more, but we're just not going to have time to get to all of them.
Yeah, that's fine and dandy.
That's streaming for you.
Yep. Time flies when you're having fun, man.
Right? Time's fun when you're having flies. Wait. I messed that up. They did partner with Unreal and Unity. Not really a whole lot to say there other than right on. Like, that means we're getting Gears, we're getting Assassin's Creeds on these things.
And you're getting a solid graphics foundation, from the real.
It just hit me too. They're gonna be putting games that use Unreal on there as well. So like things like Kingdom Hearts, obviously Fortnite.
I wonder if they're gonna throw in any mobile Unreals, because like Lineage 2, that was built on Unreal Engine.
Yeah,
that's what actually I do believe the first mobile game to be released with Unreal technology. Yeah, at least on the Unreal 4 engine, rather.
Right. The engine number is for sure the iteration. There's actually a couple. One more thing after this last thing that I wanted to touch on too. So going back to Unreal and Unity though, I know that Apple recently made like a subscription streaming service. So it's called Apple Plus, I believe. And they actually got exclusives for people who subscribe to that service. And I don't know if what kind of graphics any of them use really, but it's a streaming service, and Apple's capturing all the revenue, so can't complain there as far as that goes. Let's see here. What else did I want to talk about as far as Stadia goes? We play on phones, HDR compatible. That's all great. This is the other thing that I wanted to talk about. So they're promising cross-platform and the most power of any console today. The 10.7 teraflop teraflop point that they made now. Teraflop. Nobody even knew what teraflops were before Xbox One X. Like,
honestly, I was kind of surprised when I saw those numbers in the memo you sent me.
Yeah.
I was 10 teraflops, and that's pretty heavy number to freaking be thrown down. Like, they sounded like Trump over here, just throwing out some big numbers.
Yeah. They were boasting about that a little bit. They're like, oh, you know, more teraflops than the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro combined. And technically it is. It's only 0.7, but the benefit that they're going to have is that they can just increase the amount of teraflops that Stadia uses. So, like, if, you know, they add in their GPU or more RAM or whatever to the virtual console that they're using, you know, then that gives them the ability to add more teraflops to their console. And really no game we have is going to touch 10.7 teraflops. It's just how fast information is processed. So we don't really need that number. However, the higher your teraflops, the easier it is for your game to process the information that's being put out on the console. So I'm not going to shake a stick at it. Like, I'm okay with it. That's a pretty stellar number.
I can feel that. You know, and speaking on, you know, the whole cross-platforming, I was also hearing that there's talk in the midst that Microsoft and Nintendo might be teaming up, and they may be offering Microsoft Live on this Switch rather, which would lead one to believe that we may be able to start playing all Xbox games on
the Nintendo. Yeah, they were talking about Game Pass being on there. Microsoft was quoted saying, "We are partnering with Nintendo to deliver a new and exciting video game experience that nobody has tried yet. See at E3." So,
another, you know, off of that topic, another curious happening. I'm kind of standoffish and curious to see what happens from is the fact that this is the first E3 in 20 some odd years that Sony is not going, but Nintendo and Microsoft are.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I caught that from a little on the inside from one of the managers at GameStop who has gone to every single E3. So he's a super duper E3 nerd.
Right.
And from what he was saying is that's what we're looking at is Sony is not going to be going to this year's E3, but Nintendo and Microsoft both are, and they're going supposedly to be presenting this cross-platform and hopefully presenting the option and possibility of Xbox Live on Switch.
Yeah, that would be where it's at. There's just a few problems with that, you know. I guess we're in news now, I should say that. But there are just a few problems with that. And one of the main problems that I have, like Fortnite, for instance, if I'm not mistaken, you don't need Nintendo Online to play Fortnite, but you do need Xbox Live Gold to play Fortnite Online. So where's the happy medium there? You know?
They may actually start requiring it. I know Twitch Prime just went and dropped a deal where they're doing 3 months. Well, technically it's a year free of Nintendo Online for free.
That's right.
If you have Twitch Prime. But the way it works is you do your first 3 months for free. Once that expires, you reapply, you get another 9 months free beyond that. So the way they're moving this right now and dropping this, it may be looking like within the next year or so, they're likely going to start charging for all of it.
Yeah. That makes sense. Any premium service, just like PlayStation did, you know, if you want a premium service,
right.
You're going to have to upgrade.
There's been talk for a while, you know, back when I was working at NEW, which was a DirecTV.
I used to work there too.
Call center. Heck yeah, you already know.
Yeah.
I was there when they were NEW and then threw into the switch to Asurion, and then shortly after Asurion, I dropped. I was actually originally on the Protection Plan Premiere, one of the first few.
I was too. That's funny, dude. You didn't have to pitch the PPP.
Oh no, oh man, I'm glad I wasn't one that had to pitch it, but I got shit from all my friends that had to.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, dude, just get everybody to quit, so we don't have to keep pushing this. Just get everybody to go back to their regular chairs, man. We're tired of pushing this crap.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, it was pretty interesting. Oh, I mean, honestly, I can't remember at this point. I think I threw myself too far into a side tangent.
I know how it is. I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap it up now. We're at just over an hour, so not a bad first episode. We're going to continue to do these. Just a little bit of news out on the forefront. We got new segments coming out. I'm going to introduce something called either Retro Minute or so. I don't know. We'll come up with something catchy. It'll just be where I go on about a game for about 10-15 minutes. That's really it. Let's get out of here, Irish. Where can they find you?
What was that?
Let's get out of here. Where can they find you?
I mean, pretty much everywhere. We're looking Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, you name it. Irish1620, that's me.
All right, cool. So if you search Irish1620 on any of those, that'll be his page. As far as I'm concerned, you can find me at BTG Inferno on Twitter. You can find me at BTG Inferno on YouTube. Just Google BTG Inferno. Got a couple new projects coming out. We're gonna work on. I'm gonna work on a Hollow Knight review, so that'll be coming up on the channel as well. And then you can find me on Facebook at Broken Controllers. If you just search that, that'll be there too. Patreon probably won't be coming for a while. Want to kind of get established before we do that. But there are talks about that happening too, so just kind of stay tuned if you guys are interested in supporting the show in the future. So that's always an option. As for this episode, I appreciate you guys coming in and showing up. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do these every week, and that's gonna wrap it up. So thanks for showing up, guys, and it's been a pleasure, Irish.
Heck yeah, man.
See you guys
Good
next
show,
week.
bro.
Peace.
Have a good day, everybody.